Hey, welcome back. So today's video, yeah, just gonna focus, maybe back out, there you go. See Brown and Miller crimper. So on all my cars, probably for the last 6 years, all Brown and Miller. I've had a lot of success with it. It's super light, and the chances of blowing a line or fitting off are super minimal. Making it is actually super easy, as you guys will see. Probably the biggest issue with it is the initial investment. So it's fairly expensive, and you do need a die basically for every size crimp. Today we are working on Geoff Donati's drift car. I'm not going to talk about his drift car because that's all up to him, but I am going to go through our process for making these lines and how we do it. So all those fittings there are -10. It's going to be for the oiling system. We've down here it's a 2J that Geoff's got. It's basically we're going to have oil out of here around to the oil cooler, which I'll show you that and where it's getting mounted. From the oil cooler back into the filter, out of the filter back into the engine. So that's our process. One of the super great advantages why I love Brown and Miller hose is this bend radius. So this is a double. It's getting wild. Let's move that. This is a -10 hose, and yeah, we've got the bend radius of my hand, and that hose isn't getting deformed at all. So as you can see inside, you actually can't see inside, but it's a ribbed type hose. This hose is good for about 300 PSI. You can get other hoses, but for what we're doing, this is more than enough. That's basically it. The other job that we are doing that's kind of cool that me and Corey do in a lot of the cars we do is the oil drain. So it will be a BMRS hose, but we will cut this oil drain off. Corey will weld some aluminum to it, and then once the turbo manifold's on, I'll show you that. It will actually be a hard line all the way past the manifold to basically an area where it's super safe, and then we'll make a BMRS hose from there to the drain in this pan. So this is Corey's just fabbed up the brackets for the oil cooler. There's his fancy intercooler, and these are the brackets that the oil cooler's on. So we'll drop this intercooler in. Pretty cool now, so we'll drop that in, get that mounted, get the oil cooler mounted, and go from there. So as you've seen on the time lapse, we put the cooler back in, got the oil cooler mounted, and basically my next step is put all my fittings on where I think I want to run the hose. You would have seen on the time lapse, this pipe here is pretty much non-negotiable. It's pre-done. It's going in where it's going. We're building our hose around it. I did have the option to bring our hoses down this side, but I have actually had not a power steering belt come off, but I have had an alternator belt come off and take a line out before, so I want to steer clear of that. So we're going to run this around here, pick up this board down here, and into our filter block. When looking down at the filter block here, it's always kind of tight. See that filter block? Maybe. Oh yeah. Can't really see it very good. But anyway, there's a filter block in there, that one. The top hose here is going to be coming over to the oil cooler, so that one's sweet. If this rotates a little bit more on the other block, it's not going to be an issue. But this hose is coming from here to this block, so it's going to be a very short distance. So I'm just thinking up some different options, and at the moment the best scenario we've got is to come backwards with the hose and around to here. So if this happens to land in a slightly different spot on the built motor, it's not going to be an issue. But if I do make this hose super tight and go from here to there without any tolerance, and this moves, we probably be making a new line, which is kind of disappointing. So that's our plan for now. We'll go through and I'll show you how to make these hoses. Okay, so crimping this hose. First thing, it's super important. We want to pick our hose that we've got, pick our size, and then pick the dye we want to use, and then the machine setting. So I've already gone through, but it's a -10 hose, 19mm dye, which we've got here. These are labelled there. 19mm dye, so we put the dye in. It's super simple. Put the dyes in. Then we want to be -10, 19mm dye, 3.2. So just set this dial to 3.2. And the hose, and this is the sweetest part. Anyone that's done lots of hoses, if they've ever used just normal rubber hose, then you've got Teflon hoses. They're a lot nicer with the olives, but honestly these hoses are sweet to do. So we slide the crimp over, crimp goes this way with the little locking tab in there, and we get the expander. This is a -10. These expanders are all labelled. It's a BMRS part, so is this. They're all labelled, so it's got -10 here. You pretty much can't get the wrong expander in the hose. You physically would have to do something wild to fit it in. So expander in, we wind the expander in, and it actually starts pulling the hose out a little bit. Back him out. Then let's get a knife blade. We want to trim this inner down to be level with the outer. Super nice sharp blade, works sweet on this. That's there. And then we get this one's going to be one of the 90 degrees off the top of the oil cooler. So we put him in. Push the hose all the way up to there and slide him all the way so it hits that. Then a 90 is not super hard or anything, but it's it's harder than a straight, that's for sure, to get in here. You see that good? Let's get you a bit closer to there. So 90 can go in, and then you know, we want to make this crimper last forever, basically. So it comes with this lubrication for the dye. Just put a little bit of lubrication in here. This just helps where it slides on the dye. So we'll slide him in. That's it, sweet. And then slide this down. So it's flush. We'll bring the camera in there and You want us to have that sitting down nicely there. And then this part of the die goes on. Got to make sure that opening lines up with that fitting, or else we'll be have some disappointment. And then down we go. The machine will automatically stop once it hits there, and then that's your tension. For some of the other hoses, you do have to rotate it and then do another crimp, but for this size hose and die, it's a single crimp. So pull that out, and that is a done hose. So that's our first one done. Yeah, super nice. I'm super happy with it. Hope Geoff is too. And so yeah, a little bit of a time lapse, crimping a few hoses up. We'll get that in, and we'll run through how it turned out. And yeah, BMRS crimp fittings, love them. So there's one part I forgot to talk about. That's really important. You are there's a minimum and maximum size once you've crimped, and you just need to make sure that you're within specs. Ours is measured up at 21.99, and the spec for this was 21.7 to 21.7 to 22. So we're literally at the largest size possible, but we're within spec, so we're good to go. So this hose here in particular is something I wouldn't normally do. We're going to have a 90 on this end and 45 on the other end, and it's not the longest hose either. So with these crimp fittings, there's no swivel. You can get them if you need them, but there's no swivel in this part of the fitting. So wherever you crimp these two, you're locked in. So you crimp it like that orientation, that's where it's got to go. So normally I would try and do like what we've done here, where we've got the top one, we've got a 90. A 90 on the top, and it goes around to a straight. That's so normally all the hoses I do, that's what I would do. I'd do it whatever angle you need, whether it be 120, 45, 90 on one end and a straight on the other. But for this situation, we really want this thing to look good and be really functional. So this one is going to get a 45 down on the filter block here. So basically what we have to do is make this hose. So I'll assemble it now, and I'll bolt it in the car, make sure it fits perfect, then pull it out without rotating this fitting, crimp it, and then we're good. So there are sometimes we get people would bring us a hose to crimp, and if you've got two angles, you really need to, work out whether you're going to have them parallel or 90 degrees one way, whatever you need. It needs to be confident that you know what you need if you've got two angle fittings. So some information. Okay, this is the hose with the two angles. This end here is already crimped. So we're committed to where that one's going, but this one here we still have plenty of opportunity. So if I did crimp it there, we would have been screwed basically. So we want to rotate that to our known position that we know. So we put that on there, screw him on, and we know in that orientation there that hose is going to fit sweet. So we want to make sure that stays where it is. You can mark it, or whatever you feel you need to do so you don't make a mess, but as long as we don't move it, we're good. So we got him in his perfect location. We just take him out. It's all ready to go. So yes, as long as you don't turn that from now, you could literally take that straight to the crimper. Whoa. Put him in here. being careful not to mess with any of that orientation. Make sure the oil's good. I put a bit more lube in here off camera. That's good. Set that down. Put this one in. Go button. So now we should have our hose with 2 angles on it, and we are pretty committed. So let's make sure this is going to fit in there. Put him on here. Sweet. So saying we would say back at home, too lovely. She fits perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So that one's in, that one's in. We just got our last one to make and oiling system's done. So come back today. Had one more line to finish up. Just wanted to make sure I had an extra 45 for what I wanted to do. So yeah, we'll finish this up. So this is the final, what he's ended up with. We've got the 290s here off the oil cooler. Anyone that knows me knows I love my billet clamps. Try to keep that nice and consistent down to there, and then onto the filter block and into the engine. With this hose here, we could have made it with a straight and a 90 like I would like to do normally, but I am a little nervous. This is tight and ready for install, but I am a little nervous on the other block if it threads are slightly different or something's different and this ends up in a slightly different orientation. I just wanted to have enough length on these hoses that Geoff could change the orientation. So we went for this. Looks super cool. We've got some flex in these hoses if the motor does move a little bit, and yeah, should be a solid oil filter, oil cooler system. So hope Geoff likes it, and that's that job done. Thanks for watching. BMRS, baby, love it. Thank you. See you guys. Like and subscribe, please. That'll help me lots.